we have a bunch of factorials from 1 factorial all the way to 100 factorial, and we need to find out how many of these are divisible by 11. Now once again, before we dive into factorials, we're going to work with numbers. We're going to focus on what makes a number divisible by 11 in the first place. Let's say we have the number 23. Is 23 divisible by 11? Now you can get out your calculator or you can do it by hand, but you'll get the same answer regardless, and you'll find that 23 is not divisible by 11. Now what about 22? Is 22 divisible by 11? This time, we'll find that 22 is divisible by 11 because 22 equals 11 times 2. For our next example, let's say we have 198. Well, this one is also divisible by 11 because it can be factored as 11 times 18. And what about 121? 121 is 11 times 11. So it definitely is divisible by 11. Now from our examples, we see a clear pattern. In order for a number to be divisible by 11, it must have at least one factor of 11 present. It can have more than one. For instance, 121 has 2, but the important thing is that it must have at least one factor of 11. Then it will be divisible by 11. So now, our problem has just become finding out how many of these factorials have at least one factor of 11. And to do this, we're going to recall the definition of a factorial, write it out, and see what's really going on. Let's start with 9 factorial. Nine factorial is defined as 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 all the way to times 3 times 2 times 1. Now let's take a look. Is there a factor of 11 in 9 factorial? Well, I don't see any 11s over here, which means there are 0 factors of 11 present in 9 factorial, which means 9 factorial is not divisible by 11. You can check with the calculator, but you'll find that it isn't. You'll just get a decimal. What about 10 factorial? Now 10 factorial is just 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 all the way to times 3 times 2 times 1, which is the same as 10 times 9 factorial and since we already found that there are no factors of 11 in 9 factorial, and this is not 11, it's a 10, that means there are no factors of 11 in 10 factorial as well. So 10 factorial is also not divisible by 11. What about 11 factorial? Now from here, 11 factorial is 11 times 10 times 9 all the way to times 3 times 2 times 1, which is the same as 11 times 10 factorial. Now, even though there were no factors of 11 in 10 factorial, there is a factor of 11 right over here. So 11 factorial is divisible by 11. How about 12 factorial? 12 factorial is just 12 times 11 factorial. And since we already found that there is a factor of 11 in 11 factorial, that means there's a factor of 11 in 12 factorial as well. So 12 factorial is divisible by 11. Thirteen factorial is just 13 times 12 times 11 factorial. And the factor of 11 would be right over here. So 13 factorial is also divisible by 11. So from 11 factorial all the way to 100 factorial, there will be at least one factor of 11 present, which means all the factorials from 11 factorial to 100 factorial are divisible by 11. So we need to count how many of them there are. So our problem has just become finding out how many numbers there are from 11 to 100. And there are 90 numbers, which means that 90 factorials are divisible by 11.